There's a lie I used to tell myself every morning. It was a soft lie, a comfortable one that lived in the space between my dreams and my reality. It sounded like, not yet. My great idea, my project, the life I wanted to build, it was always waiting for me, just on the other side of a feeling. I told myself I needed to be ready to be inspired. I was waiting for a lightning bolt of motivation to strike me. So, I'd wait. My coffee would sit on my desk for hours, growing cold next to the aggressive glare of a blank screen. I'd stay in bed, wrapped in what felt like a heavy blanket, scrolling through other people's finished projects, their successes, their lives. That blanket was warm and suffocating all at once. I was waiting for the perfect gust of wind to set my ship sailing, but my ship never left the harbor. I just sat there, telling myself the weather would be better tomorrow. My tomorrow had been a week ago for a while. The deadlines I'd set for myself began to feel like ghosts, haunting the edges of every quiet moment. The guilt was becoming heavier than the blanket. I felt like a fraud. My big ambitions were just words I said, and not things I did. One night, I hit a low point. I was tired of the silence in my apartment, but even more tired of the loud voice of failure in my own head. I put on a random podcast just to drown it out. I wasn't even really listening until a quiet voice cut through the noise. He said something like, "We think we need to make this grand gesture, but what if you gave yourself permission to fail? What if you just had to show up and do a terrible job of it for just 2 minutes? Is that all? Anyone can do something for 2 minutes." I remember scoffing. It was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard. 2 minutes. What was that going to do against the mountain I had to climb? It was insulting, a sick joke at best. But the next morning, the old lie, not yet, it felt hollow, and that whisper came back, repeating itself in my head. Anyone can do something for 2 minutes. So, I tried it, mostly as a sarcastic experiment to prove the disembodied voice on the podcast wrong. I dragged myself out of bed, walked to my desk, and snatched my phone. Fine, I thought, 2 minutes. So, I set a timer. I opened my laptop, and with a huge, dramatic sigh, I wrote one single, awful sentence. It was, without a doubt, the worst sentence in the history of language. The timer buzzed, its alarm feeling loud and ridiculous. I shut the laptop, satisfied. Useless, I thought, but a strange thing happened. The next day, I did it again. Not because I was motivated, not because I had a breakthrough, but simply because the crushing weight of doing nothing had finally become more painful than the awkwardness of doing something badly for 2 minutes. It was a tiny anchor in my day. The first promise I'd kept to myself in a long time. My goal wasn't to write a masterpiece. My goal was just to outlast the timer. That became my ritual. Every day, I'd fight the urge to stay in bed, and I'd sit down for my 2-minute battle. Some days I won. Some days I felt like I lost, but I kept showing up. And then one day, the lightning I had been waiting for finally struck. But it didn't come from the heavens. It came from my own fingertips. I sat down, set my timer, and I started writing. I was so focused on the words, on the task itself, that I didn't even hear the alarm when it went off. I just kept going. Maybe 20 minutes later, I leaned back. I saw the timer had long since finished, and I realized my ship was no longer in the harbor. It was moving. I wasn't trying to push it against the tide anymore. A current was pulling me. I scrolled up, and I saw it. The one bad sentence had been joined by paragraphs, and the paragraphs had become pages. It wasn't perfect, but it was there. It was real. And in that moment, I understood. Motivation isn't the cause of action. It's the effect. It's the reward you get for showing up when you don't want to. It's not the win. It's the current you create yourself. I don't tell myself that old lie anymore. The truth I learned is that you will almost never feel like it. Not when it matters. Your dreams aren't waiting on the other side of a mood. They are waiting on the other side of a single, tiny, 2-minute action. So I'll ask you what I had to ask myself. What's your heavy blanket? What's the mountain you're telling yourself you have to climb? Stop looking at the peak. Just look at your feet. Don't try to scale the whole thing. Just take one step. Put on your shoes. Open the book. Write one bad sentence. Whatever it is, scale it down until it's so small, so easy, you can't say no. What is your 2 minutes? Do that right now. It won't change your whole life today, but it will change this moment. And that is how you begin. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, share your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for more random content and content just like this. See you around.